In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a full 1 hour live breakdown of how I write training programs for my clients. A few days ago on Instagram, I made a story post asking you guys to send me videos of your current strength level as well as the skills that you're trying to achieve. I picked 4 random people and will be analyzing the footage that was sent to me and walking you through my exact thought process when it comes to designing these super optimized programs. The meeting that you're about to watch was a presentation that I gave my internal community of clients with absolutely no cuts, just fully speaking my mind and walking you through the exact thought process that you must have when designing programs for yourself. Make sure you watch till the end because there's a live Q&A and many of my clients asked questions that you might have as well. Enough talking, let's get into it. So it's very hard to explain my methodology. I really don't know how to explain it. I've tried my best through as many YouTube videos as I could, but it never comes out the way that I want to. So I figured if I can't really explain my thought process, I should just document my thought process and then we can learn from it, right? So first, we're going to examine the videos. I'm going to diagnose some of the bottlenecks, and then we're going to program around those bottlenecks, and we're going to design the programs from top down, meaning we first define the most intense session because that's the easiest, right? The most intense session will always mimic your end goal. So like if my goal is to get a full front lever hold, and right now I'm doing working sets of straddle, I already know on my intense day I need to be attempting full front levers. Make sense? And then after that, once we create the intense session, we can then work backwards and define the, active recovery and the volume accumulation. Just to keep this in mind, that this is only going to be 50% accurate because I have no testing with these individuals. I am just purely going off of the videos they sent me and a few text messages of what their goals are. So there's no concrete testing going on. I can't expose them to maybe 4 times a week training, twice a week training. I don't have this luxury, right? So it's going to be 50% accurate. I'm going to be doing a lot of guesswork, making a lot of assumptions, but I'm going to be making assumptions that they are just the most average people, okay? And just giving them right smack dab in the middle. Imagine we have a normal distribution. I'm just going to put them right in the middle. So first we need to define the intensity scale that I'm going to use. So remember we talked about how there's 2 different things that people mix up. It's your proximity to failure and then your relative intensity. Okay, so this is where things kind of get wonky. Let's cover it again. Relative intensity is how much force are you outputting per repetition that you're doing, okay? Proximity to failure is how close are you actually going to failure, okay? Like how much fuel do you actually have left? So, for example, if I'm using a very heavy weight and I can only do 5 reps with it, the relative intensity is very high because I'm producing a lot of force for each rep, but I can still keep my proximity to failure far away by only doing 2 or 3 reps. You get what I'm saying? And so our goal in calisthenics is to always train with high relative intensity and staying relatively close to failure. And this is where I want to discuss. We don't want to go to failure. Rarely do we go to failure. We want to stay kind of at that 70% range. So 0 to 30% on my scale, we can say is a warm-up. Okay, 30 to 50% is like, you're getting a little bit, just the slightest hint of discomfort. 50 to 70% is like, all right, the set's starting to get quite difficult. 70% and up is your form is broken down. So 70%, we will say, is the point at which your form is right about to break. Like half a second before your form breaks, that's 70%. All right. So you're going to see a lot of 70% in here because we're going to stop shortly before or shortly after form breaks. Very rarely are we going like all out. You know what I'm saying? So keep this in mind. This is basically, I just put this here. If we're working with intensities below 70%, most likely your holds will be above 5 seconds, right? Just logically speaking, the relative intensity is quite low, which means that we have more time until we reach failure. 70% and above is usually going to be more body weight type work, working on a progression that's right around your area, if not a little bit more advanced for you, okay? you basically never want to utilize a super heavy band, okay? Because when we utilize super heavy bands, what happens is we drop the relative intensity super low, okay? We actually don't even recruit many type 2 fibers until we're at like peak exhaustion of the set, when our proximity to failure is really high, okay? So if you use a very heavy band to stimulate type 2 fibers, you need to be getting very close to failure, which is not efficient for us. Instead, we should use a lighter band where the relative intensity is higher, meaning we're using more of our body weight. That's why body weight progressions are king, and that's why very light banded sets are also king. Heavy bands have their use case. When you really don't understand a position or you don't understand a certain transition, this is where bands are great, because we're not worried about high relative intensity. We just want to go through the motions and understand the different positioning, maybe of the shoulder blades, maybe of, you know, the hips, the pelvis, right? So it all depends on your situation here. I'm trying to define all these things so that when we get into the programming, you guys understand. This, you have to understand this. You know you're looking at a good program when you can confidently identify what specific bottleneck it's addressing. Okay, so if I look at your program, I should be like, okay, this is his bottleneck, and that's why he centered his programming around it. If you look at a program and there's really no rhyme or reason to the exercises you're choosing, it's more of a generalized program, okay, which is not good, because all of you guys are unique individuals with unique bottlenecks, unique problems that need to be addressed. And like I said, the program is 1% of the equation, guys. A good program, if you have a good technical understanding of the skills you're trying to learn, a good program will accelerate your progress, okay? But if you don't have the right understanding of the movement on like a fundamental standpoint, it does not matter how good your program is, because you're just doing the movement wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. And I will tell you, 95% of people over the last 2 years, 3 years that I've been doing this, struggle with the technical understanding. Even Kevin, we've had to work on just fixing his full understanding of the planche, right? It does not matter the program he uses right now. It really does not matter. He needs to understand the planche before he can start actually utilizing a program that will give him optimized progression, okay? 95% of people think the program is their problem, when in reality, it's their technical execution, okay? Another thing, just because visually something looks right does not mean it is correct. You see those planches where the guy's a whole upper back, he looks like he has kyphosis. You might think that's awesome. Absolutely not. Completely wrong activations. And so, yeah, it just creates a lot of cascading issues. We're going to follow the classic ABC cycle: intense state, volume accumulation, active recovery, just very standard here. And so we're going to write the intense session first, then derive the volume accumulation and the active recovery sessions. For all of these trainings, there will be 5+ minute rest between every set, every working set. And there will be at least 10 minutes of rest between every grease to groove set throughout the day. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. I chose 4 different athletes. Let's get into it. Let's get into Alex first. Okay. Alex is quite strong. He's actually, if I could pull this up here, you guys see this Google Drive thing, right? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right, let's look at Alex. So this is the DM he sent me. He said he is, so he's 5'8", 5'9", 145 pounds, student, summertime, very free schedule, and he wants to get better at the planche and one-arm handstand. All right? Let's take a look at his planche here. Okay, quite a strong guy, right? 4 planche press. You can say dead stop, full planche press. Now, a few things to note here. Let's not look at floor, because he seems not that comfortable on floor. Let's look at like P-bars, for example. All right, so full planche hold into dead stop press. Now, the average Joe, it's like, okay, wow, this is phenomenal. But there's a big problem here. He says he wants to fix his protraction in the planche, right? That's his biggest goal. He wants to improve his planche. But he's doing a dead stop full planche hold into a press, okay? So him having good form is not a strength issue. The guy can do a dead stop full press, right? He has enough strength to be able to express it properly, but he has virtually no understanding of what the planche is. I can tell you already, he has done very minimal work in advanced tuck and straddle. He just tried to rush to full as fast as possible. Okay. And it's very clear. Not only is his scapula in a more neutral / retracted position here, but also he's piking at the hips, number 2. And then when he presses, APT, which is okay. That's more of a preference thing. But to hold a full planche this long and still have piked hips and a neutral scapula shows me that he's just not understanding what he's supposed to be doing. Okay, number 1. So this will be quite easy to fix. All right. And I think he had enough strength to go for like a negative here. And he's still so like more than enough volume, right? Let's look at his one-arm handstand. One-arm handstand is more of a skill. No program will save you. Honestly, you just need someone there one-on-one with you, telling you every single mistake you're doing, reviewing your footage from different angles. That's the only way. Just train it every day, 20 to 30 minutes a day, and have someone who's intelligent who can review your footage. But let's just see here. Okay, automatically his shift is wrong. Look at his entire arm. His entire arm leans. So like when you're doing one-arm handstand, you want your arm to be oriented like this, perfectly straight. But sometimes when people lean, their whole arm deviates and it's like this, okay? So they're shifting. They should just be shifting with a straight arm, right? But when they shift, their whole arm is also slanted. And so that's what he's doing here. But he's trying to go on fingertips, and also his straddle is super, super narrow. So again, guarantee you he did the same thing for planche. He just rushed through everything to say you could full planche. He's doing the same thing for one-arm handstand, except this skill is going to humble him because you will never be able to learn one-arm handstand training it like this, ever. He needs to regress and only focus on shifting without even doing fingertips. All right? That's what he needs to do. Let's get into the programming and how I would design his program. So we said he has a full planche press available, a very high amount of straight arm strength, very light body weight, abundant free time, and can tolerate very high frequency. All right. His arms are bending under load, as we saw in the floor planche press. That could be due to a loss of balance, so he bent, whatever. But more, he has retraction. He's losing protraction instantly. And so, yeah, this is basically a classic overleaner, like we talked about with Colin, right? Colin was an underleaner. This is an overleaner. Very strong anterior deltoid. He can do a full planche press. Okay, very strong. But he's constantly overleaned because he doesn't have enough height due to a lack of protraction. When you protract, you basically move your lean back. You become more upright. And so this puts your anterior deltoids in a more optimal position to generate force from, right? For example, the anterior deltoids get weaker as they get closer to 0 degrees of flexion, right? So when your anterior deltoid is just by your side here, that's where it's at its weakest. So imagine you do an overhead press. Pushing out of here when you have small degree of shoulder flexion is much harder than just pressing here, right? So the anterior deltoids get in a more optimal position. The muscle fibers are oriented more optimally when you're in a 90 degrees and upward, I believe. But I know at 0 degrees, it's the weakest. So that means that the more we can reduce our lean, the more optimal position our anterior deltoids can generate force from, which means that protraction is an amplifier for your planche strength. All right. So we need to specifically hone in on his ability to maintain a protracted scapula. All right. Like I mentioned, one-arm handstand 6 times a week, training 20 to 30 minutes a day. He can refer to my YouTube video for the one-arm handstand where I break down exactly how you should be training it. He should only be doing shifting drills until he can confidently shift backward and forward 5 times. And he should be greasing the groove 4 to 5 sets a day with straddle planche or super advanced hook planche. But he must have perfect protraction. Again, right? Again.
Is the problem his programming? Probably not. The guy has no understanding of the technique. You know what I mean? So like I can sit here and write this program for him, but it's not going to save him. He needs to be holding these sets 5 to 10 second holds at 60% for his grease to groove sets, okay? But he needs to regress to a more shortened position because we want to take the anterior deltoids out of the equation, right? The limiting factor should not be the torque generation from the delts. It should be your serratus's ability to maintain a protracted shoulder blade, all right? So intensity, we're going to start off with 2 sets of full planche holds at 100%. He's going to hold full planches till absolute failure, but he needs to keep track of how long he's staying protracted in the set, okay? So that's going to be his metric of improvement. Not how long the full planche hold is. We don't care about that. It's how long is he staying protracted in that set, okay? And like I said, the intent needs to be strong protraction. If he's just doing the sets like he's doing now, it's fucking useless, okay? Then we're going to do 2 sets of banded full planches using a band that allows him to hold 5 to 10 seconds. Stop the moment protraction is lost. The moment he loses protraction, the set is done, all right? Then we're going to do 2 sets of a straddle press, perfect protraction, press while maintaining protraction into a negative and hold. Now, this might be pushing it. He might not be able to hold the negative into hold with protraction, but I want him to press with a protracted shoulder blade. Because right now, as soon as he presses, he's used to it. Retract APT gets it. That's bullshit. That's only going to keep reinforcing the bad habit. So we not only need to target his protraction through static holds, but also dynamic movements to further emphasize his weakness. All right. And then, of course, you guys know this, the whole high full 90 hold with no elbow support. Listen, if you guys are doing your 90s with your elbows like this, it's not a 90, okay? A 90 is like this. No elbow support. You see a lot of these guys saying that they can do 90-degree handstand push-ups and the elbow is like going into their torso. That's not a 90-degree handstand push-up. Why are we doing high full 90s? Because the arm is bent, so the amount of torque the shoulder needs to generate is substantially lower, but the serratus requirement to keep protraction is nearly the same, all right? So again, emphasizing his weakness here. Volume accumulation. 3 sets of straddle planche holds with perfect protraction. Again, banded full planches for the same reason as before. And then advanced tuck planche into a bent arm super advanced tuck 90. So when he starts losing protraction in the planche, advanced tuck planche, he can switch to bent arm advanced tuck 90. All right. This is the session he's going to utilize the most. Okay, this is going to be his most used session. A lot of perfect straddle planche holds, a lot of banded full planches. Active recovery, this is when he feels like absolute shit. Very, very easy straddle holds, advanced tuck planche holds, normal advanced tuck planche holds, perfect protraction, and then super advanced tuck 90s. Super, super easy session. Again, just spending more time in that protracted state. He could probably use this program for, I would assume, 1 to 2 months once the protraction cleans up. And then everything would need to be updated. Let's move on to Vlad. Okay, so let me pull up his stuff here. You guys see this, right? Good. I think so. All right, let's go to Vlad here. All right, so Vlad is also a calisthenics coach. Calisthenics. His main priorities is one-arm handstand candlestick for 10 seconds. Like I said, you don't really write a program for this. You just need someone intelligent to review your footage, or you record yourself and perfectly understand what you're doing wrong. Full planche for 12 seconds. We're going to disregard the second count. It doesn't matter. He wants a full planche, and he wants full front lever pull-ups and full front lever combos. All right. So let's take a look at the footage that he sent here. So this is okay. Pretty good entry. Arms are bent, and he starts falling almost instantly. Okay. Can't tell his shoulder blade position, but it looks pretty decent. So we could say this is like what? 1, 2, 3. All right, like a 4-second bad form front lever. All right. He wants to learn front lever pull-ups. I would not do any front lever pull-ups right now. I would like to see him do at least 3 full presses with no hip hinge, and then we could start pull-ups. Okay. Let's take a look at his one arm handstand. All right, very good shift. You see how his arm is perfectly straight here? Whereas the other guys, his arm would be like this. Okay? That's a problem. So this is a good shift. I would not do this 2-finger bullshit. Bro, listen. You go fingertips and then you let go. The 2-finger, 1-finger, it's all bullshit. It's like a false sense of progression. Okay? Holding it for a few seconds. All right, so he needs to do nothing but spam attempts every day for like an hour a day. I would do, bro. If you're crazy, you really want it, I would say an hour a day, spam the shit out of attempts, start messing around with shapes, start putting your arm by your side, you know, just as much frequency and novel stimulation as possible here. Don't just do straddles or else you're going to be stuck at a few seconds shitty straddle holds. All right, let's see here. This is planche. All right, so piking of hips. Of course, it seems like he's doing this with intention, though, of the pike. So, and I know he's a heavyweight tall guy, so this is very, very, very good progression. Awesome. How many seconds is it? 14. Good. Like 6-second hold. Awesome. So 6-second pike straddle. And then I believe this is freestyle, which we're not going to worry about. And he can pull 135 pounds on weighted pulls. So quite a strong puller. Planche, of course, is a big weakness for him. So he wants full planche and he wants full front lever combos. Let's discuss how your boy is going to program this. All right. So again, we're making a lot of assumptions here. We're going to put him on the classic three-day split with Grease the Groove. I prescribe 5 times a week, one-arm handstand training, 20 to 30 minutes. Shift is good, doesn't need to regress, just needs to keep doing attempts. Okay, very good understanding. And I know he's been working on the shift for a long time. There is no apparent weakness anywhere. Like the reason I want to say this is like the other guy had an apparent discrepancy. Like very strong, can do full press, but cannot protract. Like that is a discrepancy. If someone can barely hold a pike straddle and he's getting retraction, that's not a discrepancy. He's just generally weak. You guys get what I'm saying? So like if someone has really strong protraction, but like the moment he gets exposed to more lean, it just all collapses at weak anterior delts, right? So yeah, no apparent technical weakness in the front lever or planche. So intensity. We're going to start off with 2 sets of pike straddle holds. He needs to try to get 5+ seconds, and the goal is to get a cleaner pike straddle week by week. So whether that's bringing the hips down so they're level with his head or trying to get the legs further up, whatever means necessary, all right? Then we're going to do 2 sets of advanced tuck holds at 70%. Advanced tuck holds will be his best bet for making progress, his absolute best bet, because I guarantee he'll be able to spend between 8 to 12 seconds with perfect form. And he'll stop the sets once form breaks. And then we're going to go into banded straddle planches, of course. We'll probably drop the relative intensity somewhat so that he can start to understand the straddle planche position. Get confidence so that he can then try to express that in his bodyweight pike straddle holds as he cleans them up. Front lever, we start off with 1 set, max full front lever hold, because we want to get him to a 10-second full front lever. That's going to give us enough wiggle room to start incorporating front lever pull-ups and whatnot in the future. 2 sets of straddle front lever holds. Again, a regress variation. You guys can see a kind of a pattern going on here, right? 2 sets of super advanced tuck front lever presses. This is a phenomenal exercise. Straight arm shoulder extension through a wider range of motion with a 1-second pause mid-negative, okay? Because I don't want him to just fly around like this, like a fish. I want him to have control, and forcing him to pause in the middle will allow him to have that control. And then lastly, ending with banded full front lever into straddle presses. So he's going to hold a full front lever banded at 70%, right when form is about to break. He's going to switch to straddle and press. Volume accumulation. We use the regress version that he can do working sets in. 2 sets of super advanced tuck holds. Advanced tuck or super advanced tuck. We'll see, play around with it. 3 sets of banded straddle planches using a very light band. keeping the relative intensity high, shying away from failure, 5-second holds, sweet spot. And then, of course, Zanetti press, the greatest exercise for unbiased, measurable progress, your ability to track progress in straight arm shoulder flexion, okay? Like I said, volume accumulation will be the most used session. So as you can see, why do you think I put Zanetti's here? And why do you think I put straight arm lat pull downs here? Because these are both exercises that will target the exact movement pattern that the skills he's trying to learn command. The intent state is you trying to express yourself in the skill as much as you can. Volume accumulation is where the magic happens. Your intense sessions with these max attempts, this is not going to get you stronger, bro. This is just you demonstrating your strength. Understand, one is a performance, this is a performance, and this is training, okay? But we need both because we need to gauge, is this working, right? Is this actually allowing us to perform better? So again, front lever, straddle front lever hold, 3 sets, 70%. He could probably get away with more. I would probably do like 5 here. Then full front lever negatives, 2 reps, 30-second rest in between each negative, trying to control the negative the whole way down at the same tempo. Now, why are we doing presses, negatives, holds? Because we get to stimulate type 2 fibers through multitude of different ways. And we know that variation is good. So the more ways we can recruit these type 2 muscle fibers, the better. I always love to program at least a static hold and some sort of dynamic, okay? Only doing static holds is a little bit scary. Braxton, go for it.
Is it possible to be doing too much variation, like to or overload?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
100%. Like let's say we threw in weighted pull-ups here. That's a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say we threw in dragon flags on this day. That would be a little too much. You know. Or let's say we threw in front lever pull-ups here. That would be too much because now we're messing with an entirely different movement pattern. Like all 3 of these exercises are virtually doing the same thing, right? Straight arm, shoulder extension. So it's all the same thing. But like, let's say we threw in weighted pull-ups and like front lever pull-ups. Now we're starting to get into variation that we don't necessarily need.
so
Not
if it's
yet.
specific to the movement you're trying to do, it could be too much, is what you're saying, right?
You want to center all of your exercises as specifically as possible. So doing front lever pull-ups here is not going to be specific towards the goal of improving his full front lever hold. And then active recovery, we dumb it down even more. Okay, so 2 sets advanced tuck planche holds, banded straddle planche using a heavier band. And I put max tuck planche presses. Now, you guys are probably like, why max tuck planche presses? If you've ever done tuck planche presses, the set ends because you fucking lose balance. Okay, so if I tell him 100%, he's never gonna reach 100%. You get what I'm saying? This is more of like a just go until you can't go. You know, it's a very coordination heavy movement, but figure throw it in. He could get good at them, and then it can become a very useful exercise in the future for when we start doing more pressing work with more extended variations. Now, front lever. Same thing here. Straddle front lever holds, advanced tuck, full range of motion presses, and dragon flags. Dragon flags, straight arm, shoulder extension. Okay, so same exact movement pattern. Now, if we were to throw in dragon flags on this day, it would be a little too much. Okay, dragon flags here is a great option because we're not doing straight arm lat pull downs, and we're going to utilize a progression that's going to allow us to get 3 reps. That is also, this is another thing. A lot of people think core is the problem in front lever, right? Like all the beginners, you know. Why? Because you get a very uncomfortable sensation in your midsection when you do a full front lever. And so this uncomfortableness leads you to believe that your core is the limiting factor. Does that make sense? So if we were to get him more comfortable in a dragon flag where your abdomen is fully extended outwards, it's going to give him that the perceived difficulty of the movement drops. Motor unit recruitment raises. Okay, so it's a little bit of a cheat code there, a little bit of a hack. Let's get into the next guy. I don't know. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Diogo. Okay, this is more of a beginner here. So his goals are to dominate the planche and front lever fully, meaning at least 333. Okay. He's 183 centimeters, 88 kg. Heavyweight motherfucker, tall guy. It's gonna take some time. Okay, there's no magic to this. He's studying physiotherapy full time and from Portugal, so seems like a quite busy guy. May not be able to grease the groove 7 times a week or as many sets. So let's see. Let's see his current planche level. Okay, 4-second advanced to planche, started losing protraction at 2 seconds. Very, very weak. No apparent weaknesses though. Like he started losing protraction when he got very close to his anterior deltoids giving out, which is not a huge discrepancy, right? No, we don't need to worry about any very specific work there. Let's look at his advanced entry needs work. As you see, he enters and he's inclined here, so a little bit of optimization there. He could have. The grip, I don't know if that's so advanced tuck with 1 press. Full front lever attempt, absolutely no chance. It seems like he's using a false grip. I would drop this. I would not utilize a false grip for any sort of straight arm front lever movements. All right. Into a pike straddle press. Pike straddle press. Let's work with that. And then handstand push-ups. Okay, so like 3 handstand push-ups before you lost balance. All right, let's get into it here. There's nothing. You guys see the full presentation, right? There's nothing.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So current level, I wrote 6 seconds. I must not have counted. I think it was like 5. Few seconds straddle front lever hold. Front lever presses with bad form can do 3 handstand push-ups. Tall, heavy. Gonna probably need way less volume. And his body composition, he seems to be carrying a little bit of excess fat. So I would definitely recommend doing some sort of caloric deficit to try to get leaner, because especially being a taller, heavier guy, you have to be lean, man. You have to be lean. So I would definitely try to get in a caloric deficit. Now, from all of the movements he executed, all of them were done with completely wrong technique. So I'll tell you right now, his program is going to do jack shit for his progression, okay? He needs to go back, put his ego away, and fully understand the movements that he's working on, okay, before he even thinks about optimizing his training. And I wrote, this is not pessimism, it's honesty. You guys know I'm a very honest guy, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit. He needs to hear this. No one else is going to tell him it, all right? Intense day, we're going to do 2 sets of advanced tuck planche holds. I want to get his advanced tuck planche to roughly an 8-second, 10-second hold, okay? Right now, it's not sufficient for us to do anything with straddle. It doesn't make sense. We're going to do banded super advanced tuck planches. Again, for the same reason, learning the coordination aspect, spending more time in the static, and then tuck planche press attempts. Now, if he cannot do the press, I suggest he do a negative. So kick up into handstand, get in a tuck, and control the negative. Front lever, I put 1 set max full front lever hold, but after seeing it again, I would do 1 set of max straddle front lever hold, because it seems like when he entered the full front lever, there was no chance he could hold it, so he switched straddle right away. So yeah, I would make this 1 set straddle front lever, and then I would probably make this 2 sets of super advanced tuck front lever, okay? And then advanced tuck front lever presses, and then banded full front lever into straddle press, similar to Vlad. Again, it's really the same concept here. In terms of the sets, I have to guess. You know, I cannot test the guy. I'm just guessing. Like, he might put him at like 7. Yeah, probably 5 to 7 sets, I would say, would be good for him. The volume accumulation, super advanced tuck planche holds. No, I overestimated his strength. It would be advanced tuck planche holds with a band. I would put here. I would put 5 sets of advanced tuck banded planches. That's what I would do here. And then 3 sets Zanetti press at the end. Again, just a general strength deficit. So he needs to raise the amount of torque his shoulders are actually generating. Okay. And I misspoke. I would do 2 sets of advanced tuck planche holds, even if it's like 3 or 4 seconds at 70%, that's fine. And then I would do 3 sets of banded super advanced tuck planches with a light band. Okay. Keeping the relative intensity high, exposing him to more lean, and then Zanetti press using whatever progressive overload strategy he likes. As you guys know, if you're doing Zanetti, I have a very specific strategy that I utilize. There's many out there, so choose one, stick with it. Front lever, straddle front lever holds. I would assume he can do 3 bad form presses. I would say he should be able to hold these sets for 5 seconds. Full front lever negatives, 2 reps per set, very similar to Vlad. I love programming this way for front lever. And then, of course, straight arm lat pull downs, unbiased, very measurable. Yeah, very, very, very similar to Vlad here. Active recovery, I would do tuck planche here, honestly, and then do banded normal advanced tuck planche, and then planche lean presses. Now, I love this exercise, especially for him, because as a heavyweight guy, he needs exposure to more lean, but sometimes it's awkward to do that because if you try to go to the next progression, your jump is huge, you know, compared to a lighter guy. So we don't have the luxury of like trying to get into a more extended position because we instantly fall. And then also bands, a lot of tall guys exhibit bandinitis more because going from one body weight progression to the next is substantially harder. So we start to overemphasize banded work. Planche lean presses will allow us to get more lean and then still have our own body weight that we're actually working with, right? So we get to choose, we get to modulate within the set itself how much of our body weight we're actually leaning on, right? Because we can simply load our feet more or load our shoulders more. And then I said presses. What he would do is he would hold a planche lean until 70% and then try to do as many presses as possible, okay? Just to further emphasize straight arm shoulder flexion. Front lever banded straddle holds. Again, relative intensity a little bit lower, just working on the coordination aspect because his problem is he's so uncoordinated. His hips are hinging, nothing is aligned, so bands would allow him to get more high quality volume. Advanced tuck full range of motion presses as fast as possible, very explosive. And then dragon flags, probably he would need to utilize 1 leg dragon flags. Again, same principle as we've discussed. All right, Juno, this will be our final guy here. Now, pay attention to this one. This one, if you're asleep right now, I highly recommend waking up. All right, let's take a look at what Juno said. Juno works full-time from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. He travels all around the world. He works on a ship. I don't know, the guy is Jeff Bezos or something. He weighs 160 pounds. He's 5'7", 21. He wrote that stuff, but we're not going to pay attention to that. Keep this in mind, right? He said he can do 8+ handstand push-ups, okay? Let's take a look at his handstand push-ups. Okay, these are not handstand push-ups, all right? And before you guys start laughing, all of you guys, when you came to me, were like this. Yeah, I can hold a straddle planche. I look at your straddle planche, like your ass is fucking in the moon, bro. You know what I mean? A lot of people, it's an ego thing, right? Like, of course, he could probably not do 1 deep handstand push-up, but that's a very hard truth to swallow, you know? But it's not until you swallow that truth do you actually see progress, which is why I say ego is #1 killer of all progression. All of it. Everyone everyone, no matter how smart you think you are, no matter how talented you think you are, ego is going to destroy you. All right. So his goals, what were his goals? Okay, I assume that he wants to learn planche and improve his front lever. Okay, that's the assumption I went on after seeing the video. So let's take a look at all the videos. One arm handstand. Okay, absolutely horrendous here. No control in the shift whatsoever. Now, it seems pretty decent, but he's just rushing through it. The arm lifts off. And he's just praying for a hold, okay? This is how you get stuck for 3+ years trying to learn this skill, okay? He needs to put his ego away, and he needs to spend more time on fingertips. Handstand push-ups. Virtually zero deep bent arm shoulder flexion strength is present. That's why he's stopping here, right? Remember how I talked about the anterior deltoids can produce more force here than here. When you're at 0 degrees of shoulder flexion, meaning your shoulder is directly by your side, this is where it's the weakest, okay? That's why, another reason why if you do a dead planche, it's extremely fucking hard. Even simpler example, when you do Zanetti, is it easier here or easier here, right? Is it easier to hold the weight here or here? Next video. All right, more half rep handstand push-ups. I'm tired of it. I mean, he's getting hold, but it's like, dude, you're going to get stuck at like 2-second hold the rest of your life. Definitely regress. All right, let's take a look at his planche. All right, first of all, very nice extension here. The knees drive down and up. Phenomenal. It seemed like if he cut the video as he was falling, 4-second advanced tuck planche hold with very, very good form. Okay, let's take a look at his front lever. Okay, using false grip. Bro, drop the false grip. You're gonna do a hold into presses. Do not use a false grip. Hips are piked. Okay, number 1. Arms are bent. Retraction looks good. Oh my god. Okay, look at this. Look at his press. Look at that. This is not a full press, bro. He is leading the press with his legs. So he's thinking of taking his legs and shoving them upwards like this, right? He's leading the press with his feet, which is a completely wrong understanding of the skill mentally. He needs to be leading the press with his hips, okay? What that's going to do is instead of him like bending like this, he's going to be like this perfectly. All right, so it seems like he sped up the video. So yeah, he leads with his legs. 0 presses were done, okay? So Juno, pretty good foundation, but definitely struggles with ego. Probably watches a little bit too much Instagram and thinks he's going to be die long in like 3 years. Guys, regress, man. Regress. Let's get into the programming because you guys need to pay attention. What are his bottlenecks? Deep bent arm shoulder flexion, deep straight arm shoulder flexion. Same bent arm, straight arm. He's just super fucking weak down here. And the other thing, what's the bottleneck for pull? Hip hinge. Hip hinge. The whole hip complex is wrong. His understanding of the hips, completely wrong. Let's look at his programming. Current level, full front lever hold with bad form. 2 front lever presses with hip hinge. I would not even call them full front lever presses. 5-second advanced tuck planche, very good form. Very rushed, inconsistent one-arm handstand shift. He needs to be training one-arm handstand 6 times a week, focusing on fingertips, okay? I put understanding of the shift. It seems like the shift is good. I would spend more time on fingertips and being slower with everything. The bottleneck, deep shoulder flexion and a hip hinge covering for a lack of strength in the front lever, okay? Intense day. What are we going to start off with planche? Okay, what's his advanced planche hold? 4 seconds, right? No way are we going to do anything with straddle. So that means that our most intense session, we should be doing maximum advanced planche holds. Okay, 100%. Then we're going to go into banded super advanced tuck planches. So getting into a very deeper bent arm shoulder flexion position, utilizing a light band that will allow for 5 to 10 second hold. And then like with the previous guy, we're going to utilize planche leans into max lean presses. For the same reason, we get to expose ourselves to more lean. Since we're quite weak in the planche, we don't have the luxury of like higher bounding with straddle and lower bounding with advanced tucks, right? Our upper bound is advanced tuck. So like tuck planche, I hate using always. I hate it. I would rather do planche leans or even a deep bent arm press. Tuck planche, I never program. I hate that shit. Front lever, 2 sets of max full front lever holds because we need to improve his hold time. Now, this is where it gets fun. We're gonna do 2 full front lever negatives, 30-second rest in between. But the emphasis here is going to be hips to the fucking moon, okay? His hips need to be overextended upwards. Then we're going to do 3 sets of straddle front lever presses with 0 hip hinge. So regressing so that he can do presses with perfect form. I don't want to see any drop of the hips here, okay? I wrote stop the set the instant the hips begin to drop. No exceptions. Volume accumulation. Let's talk about the front lever first. Again, full front lever, emphasis on perfect form. 2 sets of banded full front lever presses. Banded full front lever presses with 0 hip hinge. So we're able to get more high quality volume in because I'm assuming he could maybe do 1 RPE time full front lever press. So using a band in this case makes a lot of sense, okay? On this day, we did straddle presses so that we are using our actual body weight. On this day, volume accumulation, we're using bands, but replicating the torso shoulder angle that's required for the full front lever, okay? Remember the previous weekly meetings where we discussed what happens when you drop the false grip and elongate your arms? It increases the angle between your shoulder and the torso, which makes it easier. Anyone who tells you that using a false grip is easier for static front lever holds and presses is a complete and utter moron. It is scientifically proven that having no false grip makes your static hold easier. Okay. That is something that yeah, I agree with you, Braxton, but I don't feel confident saying it fully right now. But I do agree with you. 100% I agree with you. Fingertip planche is easier than floor planche. I got some like weird comments about it, but again, they couldn't prove it. So I'm still trying to prove that. I'm gonna make a presentation about that soon. But yeah, anyway, everything here is designed to target the hip hinge issue. Okay. Now, although this program, like I can give this exact program and give it to someone else with a completely different intention, right? Maybe the intent is not to keep the hips up. Maybe it's to be as fast as possible, right? So it's like the same program can serve multiple purposes. That's why it's very context specific. That's why no fucking ebook you buy, no YouTube video you watch will ever perfectly apply to you because you have unique problems that another guy watching the same YouTube video is not facing. Active recovery. 3 sets of advanced hook planche hold at 60%. So even if he's holding that perfect form for 3 seconds, perfectly okay. Planche leans for the reason we discussed at 100%. It's a very low cost fatiguing movement. So 100% I'm very comfortable with prescribing. And then front lever, we're doing 6 sets of banded full front lever hold into dead stop 2 presses. Think about this with a quite a heavy band, because like I said, it's a coordination issue, right? So he's going to start with a full front lever hold. He's going to hold it until there's mild discomfort, and then he's going to do 2 presses with perfect form. So by doing the dead stop, we are over exaggerating the hip hinge. Make sense? Perfect. So as we see here, we've applied one framework to 4 completely different athletes with 4 completely different bottlenecks. Okay? Alex, weak serratus, over leaner, only doing planche. Vlad has just a raw force output deficit. So accessories are going to be his most important thing. Zanetti and straight arm lat pull downs. Diogo, his his programming is not the issue, it's the execution. His technique is entirely fried. He needs to address that. Juno has a big deficit in hip hinge and deep shoulder flexion strength. Okay. And I wrote here, if you cannot tell me in one sentence what your current program is fixing, you do not have a program. Q&A, let's go. Hit me with some good ones. All right, Braxton, go for it.
All right, so I had 2 questions during this. So my first one is, let me read it 1 second. Oh yeah, so for someone who wants to learn a planche and front lever, how many sets do you do on an intense day? Because I know you say you can train both on the same day. So how would you like? I can't figure out how many sets to do on an intense day for both planche and front lever.
Okay, so remember how we discussed there's not a perfect amount of volume. It could be anywhere between 3 sets all the way up to 15 sets on a given day, right? Like it's going to depend. That level of like auto adjustment is something that I as a coach can never give you 100% ever. Because what that would entitle me to do is literally you text me how you feel the moment you wake up and you keep me updated, and so it's not realistic. So we can try to make some assumptions there, you know.
You always make constant adjustments to like the programming if needed, right? Like
that's why I just say auto, do it how you feel.
Okay.
If I program 6 sets and you have a lot of gas in the tank, do like 9, you know. If you feel horrible, cut it. In terms of your question about front lever and planche sets, this is my view on it. It's not proven in any way. I don't know if there's scientific literature to back it, but I tracked my training for roughly 9 months, 9 to 11 months. I would switch between a push-pull rest cycle and a push and pull on the same day. And what I realized is that it's not a matter of whether your push or pull is fatigued. It's a matter of your I don't want to say central nervous system, just like centrally how you feel. Like, for example, if I feel really good on my push day, really good, most likely my pull also feels really good that day. But I'm not even going to think of doing it because it's my push day. And then when the pull day comes around the next day, now I just centrally feel awful because I maybe got bad sleep. And so now my pull day suffers. When I could have done my pull volume the previous day when I felt good. You get what I'm saying? And so what I noticed is that push and pull would feel good almost randomly, but there was an overlying thing of like, there was a pattern. When I have a very intense push day, the next pull day is never as good as if I did the pull day and then the push day next. Which led me to believe that it's not a matter of a distinction between push and pull, but rather when you're applying fatigue when it comes to anything. Of course, muscular fatigue is more localized, but as we know, central nervous system fatigue is central, okay? When you build up fatigue in local areas, the nervous system responds to that. We discussed it in a few weekly meetings ago. So they work hand in hand, right? Like central nervous system fatigue and muscular fatigue, right? Like lactic acid buildup and stuff like that is different in some ways, but it's a self-feeding mechanism. They respond to each other. So I would train push and pull on the same day. Now, this is for skill work. If you're still beginner and you're learning like handstand push-ups and muscle-ups, I always do this on separate days because most of the time you're also doing weighted pull-ups. You're doing some sort of heavy overhead pressing. It doesn't make sense to do that on the same day. But for skill work, like planche and front lever, I always love doing it on the same day.
Awesome. You kind of did answer my next question, but I'm going to read it anyway because I think it's a little different. Is there days where you can do 2 intense days in a row or 2 recovery days in a row or 2 volume days in a row? Or
yeah.
Okay.
It's rare, but yeah. Yeah, it's quite rare because usually if you do like a very intense days are not that fatiguing, by the way. Volume accumulation would be your most fatiguing day. Like I said, intense day is a demonstration. volume accumulation. You probably never would do 2 volume accumulations back to back. What would happen is you would feel good on a certain day and you would do the intense day and it wouldn't build up that much fatigue. And then the next day, you're like, fuck, I feel really good again. And so then you do another performance, you know?
Mhm.
Yep. All right. Kevin, go for it.
Yeah, bro. So I had a question regarding as greasing the groove. Like, let's say you wake up with a strain. How would you go on about that? Would you still grease the groove, or would you just fully recover?
So if you like, let's say something feels off, like your shoulder hurts or something,
Yeah.
I would try to do grease the groove. If that causes pain, I would do nothing. So like there's a golden rule. If the pain increases, stop. If the pain doesn't change, you can keep doing that light work, but be very, very careful.
Okay. Cool.
Justin, go for it.
Hey, Anton. Yeah, so I heard you guys. Yeah, I'm talking about the lactic acid. So, for example, my program when we changed it from the front lever stuff to or front lever touches to one arm pull-ups. That one arm session like destroyed me because it was an intense day. And even now, today after today's the second day, so it's supposed to be the light day. But even
Very
now,
sore.
yeah, it's still sore, like just
Yeah.
muscular wise, not like an injury strain. So
Yeah,
how would I?
No, no.
Yeah.
It's or go ahead, ask your question. Sorry, I just get too excited and I have too much caffeine. Right?
No, yeah, exactly. So like, so you said like in the presentation that using heavy bands is especially for taller guys. I'm like 5'10", so should I not use a heavier band even though I'm like I also can't produce as much force, especially since it's like sore, right? Like the last lactic acid buildup. So like, what do you recommend or what do you think I should do?
Yeah. So one thing, first off, we've been doing like front lever touch work pull-ups for like a few months. Now all of a sudden we just switched to one arm pull-up. So like the stimulus is very different. That's why you're feeling crazy soreness right now, After like 2 weeks, you'll be good. You'll be able to bang out those sessions and you'll feel brand new after. In terms of, let's say you have a volume accumulation day coming up or something, and you're supposed to do something body weight, but it's just, you just feel super sore. You feel out of it. Hook up a band, man. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Bands are a great tool. The issue is when you rely on them. But I've programmed your training in a way where it is impossible to have bandinitis. You get what I'm saying? The
Right.
bands are inserted in very specific spots, and the body weight sets are also inserted into very specific spots. So you like if you feel really bad and you're supposed to do something body weight, hook up a band. Go for it.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. Henry, go for it.
So I have a question on like how would you balance like calisthenics and bodybuilding? Because currently on the program or like on the workout you just had me do like 2 days ago, my shoulder's still sore. But if I also wanted to do like workout and lift weights, how would I like balance between the two things and not screw my session for my next session?
Yeah, so it's very simple. Number one, you choose your exercises based on the coordination demand. So all of your training starts with balance, the most coordination heavy, then planche, front lever, and then you end the workout with accessory like bicep curl, tricep extensions. I would do it on the same day that you're training. So when I write your trainings, feel free to add in like 2 working sets for 2 different exercises. You take them to complete and utter failure that targets specific muscle groups that you find yourself lacking in.
All right, thank you.
Kevin, go for it.
Yeah, I also had a question regarding as heavy band, bro, because when I work for it, I feel like it gives me like way too much assistance. So my question is, when I warm up, would you say still warm up with the heavy band or warm up with a medium heavy band?
Yeah, I would warm up with the medium heavy band because in the warm up as well, we want the relative intensity to be high. Now, I may have told you to warm up with a very heavy band because I was trying to teach you the pelvis position, which we don't really care about having the relative intensity high. because we just want to figure out how this fucking pelvis moves, right?
Yeah.
But now that you understand it, I would start warming up with lighter bands. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Ido, go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm greasing the groove with handstand push-ups now. Whenever, like on every day, rest days and everything. And I wanted to know, like, how should I treat the grease the groove sets? Because what tends to happen to me, at least lately, is I'm starting to do the handstand push-ups, and then if I feel good, I don't stop, you know. And then it becomes a push workout,
Yeah.
you know.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, because you know, like for example, today I did it, and I felt pretty good about the reps, so I just kept going. And then I'm like, tomorrow I have a push workout, you know. I don't want to mess up the workout, the actual workout.
Yeah. I mean, oof. Yeah. If like you genuinely just analyze your performance with the overhead press, if you see it start to go down or it's like plateauing, then yeah, probably should stop doing that much grease the groove. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like
so like what's the ideal volume I should do?
for you in your current level, I would say 3 to 4 sets throughout the day, until you get a successful negative or a successful push back up.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Go for it, Orlando.
Okay, when you're programming for someone else, when do you know when should be a intense day, the volume day, or a rest day?
That's something that you decide based on the quality of your grease to groove sets. So let's say you feel average, just a normal day, you do volume accumulation. If you feel astoundingly good, you do intense session. If you feel really shit, you do active recovery. And the way that you gauge yourself is going to come down to, like, at first what I tried to do is I tried to guide your intuition and I try to figure it out for you, right? But then there reaches a point where we start getting very advanced and the whole dynamic of your recovery changes. So it's going to come down to your own intuition and utilizing dynamic exercises and seeing how they feel. So like, for example, this morning, I went to go do front lever pull-up on my bar over there. I could barely do one full front lever pull-up. So automatically, I know that today I'm going to be spamming advanced tuck pull-up to touches, you know, very easy stuff. However, my planche today feels very good. So I'm going to do some crazy shit, you know what I mean? So for me today, the pull volume, like, so we have intense volume accumulation and active recovery, right? But in reality, that's not 3 sessions, that's 6. Because for me today, I'm going to do an intense planche day, but I'm going to do an active recovery front lever day. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Go for it, Cass.
If you're doing only skill work, would you still recommend doing like the fundamentals, like pull-ups, push-ups, and dips, like after your workout?
Yeah, for sure. All I would do is I would try to do no more than like 2 or 3 working sets for those movements. And I would track your performance in your statics. So like let's say everything's going good, then you start doing pull-ups and dips at the end of your session to failure, and then your statics kind of start dying off. Well, now you know, okay, I can't handle it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Braxton, go for it.
I'm working on my one arm handstand and I have slight wrist pain. How do I know if the wrist pain is too much or I should stop and take a couple of days off? Because like it hurts right here mostly.
Yeah, any sort of like I said, the golden rule: if the pain increases, stop it completely. Start stretching, start rehabbing, and don't do any one-arm handstand. You can try to do it on P bars as well, so the wrist is more neutral.
What does rehabbing mean? Like, explain that.
Rehabbing means deep stretches warm compress, and promoting blood flow. You could get a band and do like wrist curls like this.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah. Boris, go for it.
So would you, I would ask in, okay, so sorry. I'm asking a question regarding the ABC days, where should I think of it like 6 different days? And like, should I, like, do you encourage people to think differently from the two, like planche and front lever? So should I train front lever hard today if I feel good in front lever, and should I train light or planche today if I feel light, if I feel bad
Yes,
in the front?
yes,
planche?
but it's rare.
Sorry.
It's rare.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so like you'll notice that your push and pull usually feel bad and good on the same days. If there's that disconnect, then yes, you can what do you call it? Do like intense push and active recovery pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, thanks.
I hope you guys enjoyed that presentation. Like always, guys, if you've been struggling to learn advanced calisthenics skills and want to be part of a group of over 80 people who share the same exact passion as you, where you not only get to talk to me personally one-on-one every day, but also get to be a part of these weekly meetings that I host. If you're interested, click the first link in the description below, fill out an application, and me and my team will get back to you within 48 hours. And also consider joining my public Discord calisthenics community. We're almost at 4,000 members. It's a great place to meet other calisthenic enthusiasts and also ask questions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.